So, welcome, friends. It's Saturday morning, the 20th of September, and today will be a follow on from the last call that we had on Sunday last week. That I want to make sure that everyone understands the concept of underlying tendencies, which we in modern language would be referred to as instincts. And that much of what the Buddha taught has to do with coming out of our instinctual nature and coming into reality by using the frontal cortex of the mind rather than coming out of the reptilian mind, which is where is the seat of all of the underlying tendencies or instincts. Now, in Sutta number the Anguttara Nikaya, Sutta number 7.11, the sevens, have 7 underlying tendencies. Now, these 7 underlying tendencies actually can be mapped directly onto the fetters, and it also can be mapped directly onto the Paticca Samuppada, and also directly onto the instincts that modern science refers to, or at least science 100 years ago. Don't know what's happened to science since then. So these 7 instincts, the top one is the underlying tendency to have views. Now, I'll go through all of them a bit, and that is that there is naturally an underlying tendency for ignorance, because when a baby is born, it don't know much. There's also the underlying tendency for sensual pleasure, and that we can refer to that sensual pleasure as time structuring or entertainment in a way. And then we also have an underlying tendency for aversion. And these give rise to the feelings of pleasure and ill will. There is also the underlying tendency for doubt. In other words, we become confused. This is also a feeling. Some translations refer to it as a neutral feeling, but really it's both pleasure and pain mixed together, giving doubt. We're not sure about how to feel. And so, in order to alleviate the doubt, we take on views, which would also be called concepts, points of view, world views, and all of that kind of stuff. And so, ignorance, ill will, sensual pleasures, sensual desires, views. That's 4 of them, and then the another one would be, well, that's ignorance. Okay, 5. Ignorance and views and doubt go strongly together, as liking and not liking go strongly together. And then the other 2 are basically the self-preservation instinct directly, in the sense of being and becoming. Now, where does fear come from? Fear comes from wanting to be, wanting to become safe, and also aversion. And so these 7 factors actually predominate the mind of everyone. And that the noble mind is able to deal with these things each time and every time that they come up. Now, when they do come up, they come up in the form of hindrances. Now, even though these are built into the DNA, even though these are instinctual, And even though these are underlying tendencies, we don't deal with them by going deep into meditation, but rather we deal with them each and every time that they come up, when they make the surface, when they come about. Now, as I said, the Buddha mentions that viewing or looking is the most important item of the Eightfold Noble Path. And what that means is that there's a distinction between looking and then deciding or choosing an outcome, having an opinion, versus continuing to investigate, to continue to look, to come out of our opinions. And so, by fully investigating the Dhamma, by fully investigating one's own mind in relationship to the teachings of the Buddha, to the Dhamma, one can see clearly, and that some things change and some things change slowly, but there is this noble quality to the Eightfold Noble Path and the Four Noble Truths, is that it tends to persist, to where almost everything else is quite temporary. Now, if we can understand these underlying tendencies as they come up, we can deal with them wisely. In other words, we can make a choice about it. This is correct practice. Now, Karwan asked a question about what is correct practice, and that Bhikkhu Buddhadasa specifies that, and we can say that correct practice has to do with the Eightfold Noble Path applied to anapanasati, most specifically to the four foundations of mindfulness. Now, this is actually an easy practice, and that it's easy to keep track of the four foundations of mindfulness. Now, correct practice means that we are changing and coming out of these instincts, coming out of these underlying tendencies, and coming in to see how things actually are in reality. Now, in reality, everything is okay just the way that it is. But that needs to be consistently investigated, because a lot of people will say, oh no, I heard something on the television or on the radio, or I saw something on social media, means that the world is a disaster. Well, no, that's just an opinion. And that it's best that you do not pick up that opinion, because you have eyes and you can behold that the reality that you're living in the immediate vicinity, is safe. It's got air, it's got gravity, it's got all the good things that you need, and that there's no reason to hold opinions or views. But yet, because it's an instinct, and because we are raised around a huge number of other people, parents, teachers, aunts and uncles, siblings, all of those people already have views. And so it's easy for the child, because he already has an underlying tendency to views, for that child to actually start picking up and holding the same opinions that he's been exposed to. And the child does not have the Dhamma, does not understand that he can look and see for himself how the world actually is, how the reality of the moment actually is. And so we grow up with all of these opinions that were given. And so what correct practice is to see when the mind has an opinion and change it to reality. So we could say then that opinions, by and large, are unwholesome. Opinions, by and large, are actually hindrances that hinder us from being in the present moment. We have worldviews. We think that the world should be like this or that. This is an underlying tendency to holding views about how things are or should be, because that helps us to not feel full of doubt. Our opinions are more safe than just leaving the doubt there. And so the doubt actually brings on fear. And so we can actually use our opinions as a defense mechanism to keep us from feeling bad, fearful, and whatnot like that, except that the opinions are not real, which means then that you can run into a situation to where your opinions don't work anymore. And so it's better to start developing the practice of looking and seeing what's here, right now. So this would be the correct practice, and we work with the 4 foundations of mindfulness, which were the original 4 elements. We have the body, we have our feelings, we have uh, mental states, and then we have mental objects. And that many people have heard me talk about, that correct practice is don't worry, be happy. Well, we can apply that be happy to all 4 foundations of mindfulness. When the body is happy, it's relaxed. When the feelings are happy, that means that we feel safe, secure, comfortable, and satisfied. When the mind is happy, that means that it's not a victim, but in fact it feels safe and secure because it has confidence, self-assurance, if you will. And you can also then apply happiness to mental objects in the sense of relinquishment or letting go. Now, in fact, I've just mentioned um, the, uh, the 4 foundations of mindfulness, actually, in the sense of each one of these triads have, or quadrads have, um, 4 elements. So 4 times 4 is 16. This gives rise to the 16 steps of Anapanasati. Now, in the body, we have breathing long, deep, and then breathing more comfortably, more shallowly. And then we have investigation of the body. And then the 4th one is the relaxation. And so the outcome of practicing the Satipatthana for the body would be that the body becomes relaxed. Now, within the concept of the feelings, we normally have unwholesome, unhappy feelings, feelings that are associated with fear, not getting what we want, not liking, and that we can begin to modify those feelings into the sense of safe, secure, comfortable, satisfied. But ultimately, by being able to do that, the final outcome is that the feelings are no longer conditioned. That we see the mental conditioners, we see how we bring up feelings through our perceptions and through our opinions and all of that, so that we can remove those conditioners, and then our feelings are much lighter because they're unconditioned. Within the 4 quadrant of the mind and mind states, the Sita Nupassana, is that we first work with investigation and then gladdening the mind, and then we bring the mind into a state of unification so that it can be free. And so when the mind is free and the feelings are unconditioned and the body is relaxed, then the 4th item would be the relinquishment. And so we've just touched on 4, 8, 12, and 16 as the results of the correct practice of the Anapanasati within the framework of the 4 foundations of mindfulness. So we can all boil that down to don't worry, be happy. Be happy in the body, happy in the feelings, happy in the mind, and happy in the mind states, because the mind states are not clinging to them. We just let them go. So this is also in relationship to a statement that I have made many times, and that is don't try to get it right, just be happy. All right. Now, Karwan asked the question, well, isn't getting it right have to do with correct practice? And actually, I want to point out that getting it right doesn't mean that. What we mean by getting it right is people intellectualize, they hold views, they have concepts, and they try to fit the practice into the concepts that they already hold. And so many students, when we've given this basic introduction, they'll start asking one question after another, after another, after another. And in fact, they will continue to ask questions and to not get around to actual practice because they have this concept, this worldview that they have to get it right. Well, how many people have learned to play the piano by getting it right the first time and keep getting it right? Oh, no, we have to practice. And so practicing means that we are actually dealing with this instinctual nature. We're dealing with these underlying tendencies when and every time that we can remember to see them as they come up. This is all there is to it, is to practice in such a way that we can change these underlying tendencies, change these instincts into the reality of the situation. And so this is actually a very easy practice, but it requires practice over and over and over and over again. So, Karwan, when I say you don't have to get it right, just be happy, I'm not talking about practicing wrongly, because if you're practicing wrongly, you're not being happy. Does that make sense to you, Karwan?
Dhammarato, it makes a lot of sense to me, but actually there was someone else asked the question who have a similar name as me. So, but still, it makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Well, there's a lot of me's out there.
Uh, but really what you just said, the importance of not just understanding the practice, but more importantly, to do the practice. Yeah.
To do the practice. Right. And so trying to get the practice right before you ever start doing the practice is a very common mistake, because people already are attached to their views. They hold opinions that, in fact, on Discord, depends upon which server that you're on, but some of the Discord servers are full of opinions and nothing but. That's all you'll find. Some of them will put, in my humble opinion, tags on there. And that should be a clue. If you ever start to say, in my humble opinion, just erase that and don't speak. Don't give your opinions. Your opinions are just nothing. Better still, stay with actually what you know through investigation. And before you type it out, investigate it again to make sure that it's not only right before, but it's right now. And that's one of the things that's so beautiful about the teachings of the Buddha is that I've been investigating the teachings of the Buddha since about 1980. So here it has been 45 years, and every time I investigate it, it keeps coming up noble every time. And so I can pretty well trust, because of all of the hundreds and thousands of investigations, that it always comes up. We can then trust that as knowledge as opposed to an opinion. And so this is what we mean by, let's not hold opinions, let's not hold views, let's continue to look, to investigate. And that so many people want to hold opinions because they want to be right. And why do they want to be right? Because if they are not right, then that means that ignorance and doubt are there, and ill will, because we don't like ignorance and doubt. So we'll make up anything in order to feel good. We hold opinions because opinions are comfortable, and yet they're the major source of dukkha from time to time. In fact, all arguments are based upon two or more people having an argument about their opinions. Christians and atheists are the most famous ones over the past 20 or so years. You'll find the Christians bringing up their opinions about God. They don't know a thing. And atheists are bringing up their opinions about God, and they don't know anything either. And so they just go back and forth with just opinions. And sometimes those opinion arguments get pretty heated. So the point is that whenever we're holding an opinion in the moment, know that it's just an opinion. Perhaps it's something that you learned when in childhood. Racism is just an opinion. The territorial instinct actually, let's look at instincts for just a moment. There are four primary instincts, but the most primary one is the self-preservation instinct. In fact, that's the strongest one. Now, that strong instinct of self-preservation actually comes from the view of I am, an opinion that I exist. It also has to do with mana or conceit, that idea that I am, and it also has to do with the quality of becoming, of wanting to be something. And then the last one would be that danger part of the ill will. I don't like it because I'm in danger. And so you can see that the self-preservation instinct actually is a combination of several of the underlying tendencies. The underlying tendency of procreation actually then is sensual pleasure. And that I'll make a statement now that sexuality is such a major problem in the world for two reasons. One is because health-wise, it's been dangerous for many centuries. That women die in childbirth. We have STDs, babies die, and all kinds of things that have happened through sexuality. But the other point is that we are programmed through our instinct for this procreation because of the pleasure. It is deeply embedded into the human body, into the human mind, to be the highest pleasure. And so that becomes an opinion, because it's not necessarily true. We think that it's the highest pleasure, but once you've done it a few times, it's, oh yeah, I've been there, done that. There's not that much to it. But we have the idea, and we're taught in our society, that it's the highest pleasure, it's the best thing. And then we have all of this advertisements with clothing and lack of it, and sports and showmanship and all of this kind of thing that advertise sexuality in the sense of pleasure. And so that pleasure seeking is the foundation of it. And with it becomes an opinion. And then what we can do is we can begin to see through that and recognize that pleasure can be found in many, many places. In fact, there are two suttas that I know of. One is 139 in the Majjhima Nikaya, where the Buddha says that he will take pleasure wherever it may be found, including when the mind is quiet and stable and nothing going on in that state of nibbana. That is a really high pleasure. It's very pleasurable just to be not much of anything at all. And yet we are taught in our society to gain pleasure through competition, through entertainment, through sexuality, all kinds of places looking for pleasure. That in fact, there is a song. I forgot who did the song, but the name of the song or the main lines of the song is looking for love in all the wrong places. And when we say out looking for love, what we're actually meaning is looking for pleasure. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for pleasure. But we have elevated the word from pleasure seeking into love. Everybody wants to be loved because we receive pleasure from that. But if you have already all the pleasure that you can need, all the pleasure that you can muster up inside of your own mind, then that pleasure is, let us say, gratified. We don't need the pleasures of all other kinds of sensual desires and other things like this. And so, whenever sensual desires come up, we can, in fact, find pleasure someplace else. So, Clay mentioned about this. What do you do when uh, uh, he used the word urge? Was that the word that you used, Clay?
Yeah, that's good enough. It captures it. Yeah.
Yeah. Urge. There's many words that are used. One of them would be horny. Having a hard on. Other things like this. So, actually, we can do something else. One of them would be that whatever posture that you're in, you can change that posture. That if you are in fact laying in bed, get out of bed. If you're sitting in a chair, get out of the chair. Go walking. Go away from whatever stimulus there is. And the ultimate result, a point that I've heard so many times, is take a cold shower, because the coldness of the shower will, in fact, take the mind away from all of the sexuality that, in fact, that urge that you're talking about, that horniness, actually is not pleasurable. It's not pleasurable.
It's not.
What you're wanting instead is the pleasure of not having it there. It's not pleasurable, and in fact, it's ill will. And so we're looking for comfort and release away from that. And the answer to it is don't pay any attention to it. Put your mind someplace else.
Yeah.
Notice that in the Buddhist system, underlying tendencies, there is no place for that. He mentions instead the sensuality, that looking for pleasure. And so if you change your ideas about it from horny or sexual urges into I want pleasure and this is not it.
Yeah.
And so then, because this is not it's not pleasurable, you can go do something else. You can go for a walk. You can get up out of your chair. Certainly, if you're in bed, get out of bed. And this is the way to deal with that, because it's not pleasurable. But we have the opinion that it's supposed to be pleasurable. You probably heard stories about the young teenage boys. They think that sexuality and being loved is the highest good. And yet they're afraid to go talk to the girl. They get lovesick. That state of lovesickness, that state of fear of rejection, that's not pleasurable at all, is it? Not pleasurable. So, how to deal with it would be to basically change the subject, to change the mind, to go find actual pleasure. And what actual pleasure would be to feel relaxed, to feel happy, to feel safe, secure, comfortable, and satisfied, to feel like you can handle the world and that you're not attached to holding, you're relinquishing and letting things go. So this is the way to look at it, is instead of pursuing pleasure, what we can do is come to that state of relaxation and joy and receive our pleasures there. The problem is the pursuit. You've heard in the Americans have the Declaration of Independence of life, liberty, and the happiness of pursuit, or the pursuit of happiness. Which is it? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? And actually, what is the difference between the happiness of pursuit and the pursuit of happiness is that pursuit is not happy. We're in pursuit of happiness rather than just letting it come because we're relaxed and happy. And so that's the thing then, Clay, is don't go pursuing happiness. That let it be that, in fact, we're already happy if we just see that. And when we're unhappy, just change it to being happy again.
Yeah, I was going to ask you a question about that actually. So,
all right, go ahead.
One of my major things that confused me in the beginning was like you would just say, don't worry, be happy. And I always, I always took from that I'm supposed to force myself to have a certain emotion. And I know
happiness is more of a lack of emotion.
Right. Right. But like, I think that there's I'm ignorant of these teachings largely. So like when you say like, don't worry, be happy, I'm like, oh, well, if I'm not feeling that feeling that I associate with happiness, then I must not be doing the practice correctly.
In other words, you're worried.
Yes.
Yeah. That's so funny when I say, don't worry, be happy, that people start worrying about what is happy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so this is what correct practice is all about, is to see that worry and bring that to a close. Everything is okay. Everything is fine. Not a problem in the world. Everything is all right. No reason to be in a state of worry about how to do it right. It's not a matter of figuring it out. It's a matter of just looking. Direct seeing it. Just see that you're worried. And then you can say, no need to worry. Everything is already okay. And so maybe a better word rather than happy would be Don't worry, be content. Don't worry, be relaxed. Don't worry, don't be conditioned by the worry. And don't have the feeling that you got to do something. But in fact, that idea that we've got to do something, that's a view that comes from the society that we've been given, in the sense that we've got to do something to be happy. We got to go get something to be happy, to where, in fact, if we use the word content, we can say that contentedness then is being unconditioned by feelings, unconditioned by mental processes, unconditioned by the state of mind, and allow it to be non-conditioned. That in fact, this is a word that is often used for nirvana, that is unconditioned. That doesn't mean that conditions won't come back. It just means that in this moment, it's unconditioned. Not conditioned by worry, not conditioned by views, not conditioned by wanting sensual desire, not conditioned by ill will, not conditioned by a sense of self, not conditioned by doubt. And so just allow that underlying condition of ignorance just to be there without having any conditions on it. This is the practice, Karwan. This is the practice that you don't have to get it right. When I say it, I'm not talking about it correct practice. I'm talking about views. You don't have to get it right, because we all generally have the view that you're supposed to get it right. Isn't that what school is all about? Taking tests and all of this, getting diplomas and all of that is all about getting it right. And yet, even though those who get it right, even A students, are still unhappy. So getting it right doesn't get one happy. That in fact, it just brings on and deepens that, just like the desire for sensuality doesn't solve sensuality. It just keeps us grasping and clinging after it, rather than just relaxing, feeling comfortable. So, Justin, what do you think?
Yeah, this is great. Yeah, for me, growing up in school, there was this unspoken expectation of, getting straight A's, basically. And so having that in my mind growing up, I noticed, okay, even if I missed like one question on a test or something, even though like I had gotten a decent grade, it was still, it was as if it was like not good enough. So there was not that contentment with, oh hey, like this, well, I studied, I did well. It was kind of like, because there was that expectation, it was like it still wasn't good enough.
See, that expectation is actually just a view. It's a worldview. It's a concept. And we make ourselves, in this society, we make ourselves miserable through our own concepts, through our own viewpoints, through our opinions. And so it was your opinion that you have to get good grades, which means that any time that you didn't get a good grade, you felt bad. When you could have been feeling all along quite well, if you had a better opinion. So, Mila, what do you think?
Not much. Thank you.
Not much to it. That's right. That's what makes it the right kind of practice. We normally use the word practicing correctly because when we're practicing correctly, there's not much to it. Going in the direction of everything is empty. There's nothing there, nothing to it. But in fact, when there's something to it, it's almost always the opinion. That's what there is there, is an opinion, a view. So, Karwan, what do you think? Yes, go ahead.
Hey, Dhammarato. Tell me if I'm like
Pardon?
off base here. Tell me if I'm off base here. So,
I
is
didn't
it
know that there were any bases. What is this, baseball?
English? Is it that the consciousness or awareness has a base, and people strive and they do things to move out of this base of peace and unconditionality? They crave here, or they'll do absorption jhanas here, or they'll take hallucinogens, right? So they keep going in these different locations, but it all comes back to, it keeps bouncing back to the base, right? There's a level of this is it. And we keep beating or over and over to maybe more, maybe a little more, or in this direction or that direction. But you can't change your base awareness in the sense that it bounces around back and forth. But if you don't do anything, it's just peacefully there. There's nothing happening. And it's complete, and all the buzzing around, even like, you know, the people that do the absorption jhana, so they do all this stuff that feels really good, they still come back like the Buddha. They come back to, you know, present awareness or present, oh, I'm still here.
But they don't stay there very long because that underlying tendency of views comes up. Oh, I've got to go do something. But that
This is
underlying
another like another pull, right? Another like
Mhm.
trying to go that way or go that way.
Mm-hmm. This is why the Buddha says that these views come first. These opinions that we hold drive our lives. And so it's best to come out of opinions. And another word would be beliefs. And there's a whole lot of our society based upon beliefs, which means really no evidence at all. Religious beliefs, political beliefs. Like Justin, the belief in good grades, etc., like that we have these beliefs or these opinions, and that we suffer because of those beliefs. And so when I was a monk in North Carolina, way back when, 25 years ago, I would run across Christians who wanted to know, well, what do Buddhists believe? And my answer would be, I don't believe in belief. I believe in investigation, which means I don't even believe in investigation. I have investigated investigation enough to where I can see that investigation is a whole lot better than belief without investigation. And so
How did
that's
they
another
react to
word,
that
but I'm
answer?
using the word opinions today. Who said something?
I said, I just said, how did they react to that answer?
Different reactions. Many of them were confused. Others got angry. Some just walked away. In a way, you can say I don't believe in belief. I believe in investigation is almost a door slam, because they want me to hold views so that they can argue with those views with their views. So belief views, opinions, viewpoints. All of these are that fetter. It's a fetter, and that the primary fetter is the belief in that there is an eternal me there, a soul, rather than recognizing the reality is that each individual, each human, is a moving target. You're not the same guy that went to sleep last night. You've changed. And yet we have the opinion that, oh, I'm me. We have the opinion that I have a particular personality, where in fact that personality is actually all over the place.
Yep.
An example of that would be a political figure. Go ahead, Karwan.
I want just say, just in the mundane world, let's say normal existence, don't we? I think we still do need to have some views. I mean, views about politics and views about parenthood and views about, I don't know, society in general. You know.
It's painful. It's better not to hold views on politics.
Yeah, but if we truly don't do that, who will lead us?
Who needs to be led? Why don't you just sit down and enjoy your meal?
No, I mean in ideal society, sure, that would be. But right now, we cannot do that. I mean, it is good for if we truly close ourselves to the politics and to things that are happening around us. I'm not sure if there's yeah the wise thing to do.
It depends again also on what country that you're in, doesn't it?
Probably yes. Some countries maybe
Yeah.
more open than others. Yeah.
Well, all countries have civilizations or people that have political views. That's one of the best things about living in a country that you didn't grow up in, is that now you can leave all the political views from that old country aside. You don't need to listen to all of those thousands of different conflicting and sometimes interceding opinions. And that's all you'll get on the news. They'll have maybe 1 minute of actual news followed by 30 minutes of opinion or predictions about their own opinions about how things will be. And so here in Thailand, the best thing is don't pay attention to any politics, Thai politics, and you're just happy.
Yeah,
So
at the
don't
moment,
listen to
yeah.
politics. What was that, Carl?
I said that part I understand. I mean, right now I'm in Thailand and I don't care about the Thai politics. But I mean, just in general, I don't feel like it is good to have some views, some opinions, so I can basically structure my life. Otherwise, what
Let's
will I
have
do?
healthy. Then let's have healthy, let us say, views and opinions based upon observation rather than based upon other people's opinions and hearsay. An example is that many people now are hearing that Phuket is dangerous. But if you're happy and satisfied in your room, then there's no reason to go out and find the danger in Phuket. In fact, it's not all that dangerous at all.
I feel I'm here many years and this is the safest place I've ever lived. I've never felt unsafe here.
And
So,
yet,
so,
the politics is that Phuket's a dangerous place.
Dhammarato, can I ask you a question about what you just said? Let's have
Yes.
healthy views, whatever. Could you say that's another word for rationality? Like, let's be rational.
All right. Ration has the quality of having a reason. And most of our opinions don't have reasons to it. We've just heard it and we pick it up.
Yeah. So is
All
having
right.
like a healthy view also code word for you're not saying that's the code word for rationality. That's a separate
Well,
quality.
rationality would also be reality. It's rational because we can see it directly and it fits with reality.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
The things have a reason. That's what we mean then by cause and effect. The things that are affected because of a reason. So holding reasonable views then, but don't hold one because you saw it once. Look again, because everything keeps changing. Keep investigating, but in fact, the best kind of way of living is don't even hold reasons without re-investigating it. In other words, don't cling to views. Don't create a view. You saw a view and now you say, oh, I saw it, therefore that's it. When you didn't see it all. Okay, that's what happens with card sharks. That there's a lot of prestidigitation, hand magic, and a lot of people will believe it because they only see a little of it. They only see what the card sharp wants you to see. He'll show you his hands without showing you the back of the hand where that card is sticking. He'll only show you the front of the hand. Okay? That in fact, the story is about Satya Sai Baba in he lived in Bangalore. He's dead now. But Satya Sai Baba was very famous for prestidigitation, and many Indians by the millions would donate to him, and he did some good things by building a hospital and whatnot, but he did it mostly through stage magic. Well, on the way to Bangalore on the train, I met an Indian woman who spoke good English, and we got into a conversation about all of that. And she said, please, at the end of the journey, come spend the night at my house and we'll have supper. And when I was there, she dug through a stack of newspapers and brought out a newspaper article that was several years old that had page after page of exposition of photographs of Satya Sai Baba. And these photographs were taken by cameras that people held down below so that they could, the cameras could show you what he was actually doing. Now, one of his most famous tricks was bringing up a big cloud of holy ash. It would just magically just appear. But what was going on was he was taking the ash, wetting it down, putting in granular form and grains of about the size of a grain of bigger than a grain of rice, and then he would put these grains of holy ash between his fingers on both hands, so that he would then, when he wanted to perform his magic trick, he would bring all of that into his hand and go up like that, and everybody was just so amazed. Now, the funny part is that even though this had been published in the Bangalore newspaper, it didn't stop people from believing in him. Many of them saw the exposition and still didn't buy it. They couldn't tell. Now, one of the things that he would also do is he had a good friend who had a Rolex watch, and he made that Rolex watch magically appear many times and then give it with great big flair and ceremony back to this guy who owned that watch in the first place. That guy was in on it. And then the next time he'd go get that watch secretly, and then he would manifest it out of thin air and give it to him to great applause by all of the people. All right. Penn and Teller have done quite a lot of that in the sense that they want to show you what's the magic trick. But there are a lot of people that you would call charlatans that don't want you to see that it's all stage magic. Oral Roberts was a Christian. He started Oral Roberts University. I don't know if any of you got, I'm thinking Mikey because Mikey was from Tulsa. And the joke was is that you would buy a phonograph record and have it sent in the mail. You'd buy a phonograph record from Oral Roberts, but when you got it, you couldn't play it because the hole in the middle had healed up. So he was a healer, and he would do all kinds of stage magic to fool the Christians, and they would believe it. And so this is actually part of this stage magic that we don't investigate very well. Once you investigate the stage magic, you can see that most of everything that happens is got to do with stage magic. They want to show you something that really doesn't exist. And we believe that it exists. And then we start to believe in magic. We start to believe in things like trinities instead of recognizing that things are just real. Let's keep it real. Let's not go into believing in magic because somebody else believed in magic. Let's really look to see what's going on. So when I actually then went to see Satya Sai Baba and saw his magic tricks, I knew immediately what he was doing. It was easy to see what he was doing because this Indian woman had showed me what he was doing, and yet many people would see those photographs, and they'd still believe that he was doing magic. India is full of magicians because they can't get away with it. People will believe that stuff. Faith healers get away with it because people believe that stuff. And in fact, prosperity Christianity is, see, I'm a preacher and I'm a friend of God, therefore God gives me an airplane. If you donate money to me, you'll have prosperity also. And those people are so poor because they keep giving money to this guy who just buys himself another airplane. It's all a scam. And yet people believe it. They hold those opinions. So the better thing to do is to stop believing, stop holding opinions, and start investigating. And the best investigation is to investigate to be happy, to investigate to be peaceful. Let the body relax. Let the feelings relax. Let the mind relax. And let go of the mind objects and just be happy. That's the real teaching of the Buddha, is don't worry, be happy. So, Navid, do you have something to say? Mr. Ben, do you have something to say?
Hi, Dhammarato.
What was that?
I said, not much. All good here, thanks, Dhammarato.
All right. How about you, Okie dokie? Do you have something?
No, all good here.
You're all right. Okay. Everything is already
Dhammarato.
okay. If you
Yeah, very
investigate it,
satisfied.
you'll find that. Christina, what do you think?
So I got called out by my my Kalyana Metta over there for being restless. As I was thinking about the talk and exploring the 4 foundations of mindfulness and looking at scanning the body and the mind and the feelings and the Dhamma, I didn't realize that I was becoming restless while I was doing that.
But you did, because you saw it. Congratulations. You can see the restlessness.
I didn't. Errol did. He pointed out that I was getting kind of fidgety, and it was helpful because I didn't realize that I was looking at one thing and then not looking at another part of what was happening in the body while I was exploring
Isn't that
another.
amazing? Yes, it's like
Mm.
that. That we look here, and something over here is happening really big, and keep looking. We still have that view rather than being open. This is part of the problem with using the word concentration, because we think that we're supposed to concentrate on this while all of this other stuff is happening. No, the right way to look is to look around, to see everything, because we're looking around to see all of this stuff. And it's good that once he mentioned it, you could see it.
Yeah.
So you can
Thank you.
congratulate yourself. Yeah, I can see that stuff.
Got it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks, Dhammarato. Thanks, Harold.
So, Edward, do you have something to say? Kenny called. How about you? Do you have something to say?
No, all good, Dhammarato. Thank you.
All right. So, anybody have any last things to say?
Yeah, I do. Dhammarato,
Go ahead, Justin.
yeah, so what you and Christina were talking about, would that be, would the phrase be Yoniso Manasikara? Is that kind
I
of
didn't
just,
catch that phrase. What?
is that the Yoniso Manasikara? Kind of like that overarching, like, I don't know, seeing the peripheral, I guess, seeing what's happening.
I don't know that term. What language is it in?
It's like a wise attention. I believe that is another Pali.
Okay.
Word, yeah.
Yes, that's what we're talking about, is wise attention, to pay attention, not get too stuck or too focused on one little thing, but to stay alert.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, to watch. All kinds of things are happening. Things are complicated. Well,
Dhammarato,
actually, yes, go ahead.
what was the practice from, or the whatever, the description from like 10 years ago, where if you're in the dark and you walk and you stub your toe, I think the question was, is that ignorance, or is that, what was the other word? What is it?
Delusion.
Delusion.
Right. We had the view, or we were deluded. We had the delusion that we could get to the bathroom in the dark because we knew where all the furniture was and we knew where the path was. And so we stubbed our toe from delusion. If we had wise ignorance, then we would have turned the light on and saw that Granny had moved that piece of furniture.
So the answer to that trick question was, it was delusion. Okay. Thank you.
Exactly. Because there's actually two kinds of ignorance. There is wise ignorance, when we don't know and we know we don't know. And then there is delusion, when we think we know when we don't know. And when we think we know when we don't know, that's an opinion. That's a delusion. That's deep, or maybe not use the word deep, but that's just a form of ignorance that's clouded with opinion. So opinions are generally delusional. Here's an example of a delusional opinion. The United States is going to hell in a handbasket. Well, we don't know that. The Trump administration is destroying democracy. Well, we don't know that. That's just an opinion. So make sure that when you hold opinions, that you recognize that you're holding an opinion. And it may not be true. So if you hold the opinion that democracy is being destroyed, what are you going to do about it? You're going to worry? So why worry? Don't worry, be happy. And then if democracy is destroyed, oh, it's terrible that democracy has been destroyed. Well, you don't know that either. In fact, Bhikkhu Buddhadasa talked about a benign ruler. A benign ruler, a benign dictator is one who is in charge, who has the best interest of the people. A democracy is kind of an ongoing battle. Look at the United States. They've been fighting with each other over politics for all of this time. So we don't know what's going to happen what if the Republican Party takes over completely? Then we can say, wow, the war is over. Democracy lost. So what? And then guess what? That ain't over yet either. It ain't over yet. It's just all process. There's no destination. And so let's not have opinions about the destination because we don't know.
What's funny about that, Dhammarato, is that nobody even cares about your opinions or your views. No matter how like important you think they are, like nobody even cares. And if you live out
Too
on
busy
an
having
island
their
somewhere, if you
own
didn't have
opinion.
internet, yeah. If you didn't have internet, then you just lived out in the forest. Literally 10, 20 years, whatever else could have happened in the world, you wouldn't even know. And it wouldn't have even made a single difference. Whether it's that you knowing and watching this stuff, but if you lived in the forest, you would never know, and nothing would ever change. It'd be the same thing.
All the trees would grow up and they would shed their leaves and all kinds of things would be happening if we pay attention, but there's nothing there to worry about. It's just all part of nature without a plan. There is no plan. Those people who believe that there's a grand plan, that's just an opinion. Nobody gives a flying rip about your opinions. They're too busy with their own. Unless you contradict them and say, oh, my opinion's better than yours, and now you've got a real argument. So anybody else got something to say? All right, Mikey, why don't we take this thing home?
Yeah, thanks for being here today, friends. Glad to see some new people as well. And new people are always welcome to join. If you're watching this on YouTube or listening on Spotify or iTunes, come join us. Come have fun. Let's say you can't make these Saturday and Sunday calls. That's okay. There are other calls scheduled throughout the week that you all are invited to come participate in. We've got a call with Ben, for example, that happens weekly. And yeah, those are really fruitful to join and a great place to make friends and chat about the noble Buddha. So yeah, thank you friends for being here today. If you'd like to join us here on Discord, there's a link in the YouTube video description. Yeah, maybe just talk another lesson, and feel free to share it around as well. Yeah, take care, friends. Take it easy.
So, last thing I'd say is to hang around when I finish this call. This would be an ideal time for any and everyone to speak up. Let's have an ongoing dialogue, a conversation. You can actually use this issue about holding opinions as a topic, or if you want to, you can talk about something else. But don't hang up right now. Just stay on and enjoy yourselves for a little bit. See you later, friends.
Thank you, Dhammarato.